Principles are changeless. They remain the same year after year, century after century. They govern our lives and control the consequences of our actions. Stephen now discusses how we can develop greater effectiveness at home and work by aligning our personal and organizational values with principles or the natural laws of effectiveness.
For a moment, let's think now what the real nucleus of each of these habits is. It is a principle. Let's think about what that means, principle. You see, a principle is the actual reality, like the law of gravity, of the way things are. For instance, how many of you, when you were in school, did a lot of cramming? Think about it. Be honest with yourself. Did you get good at it? Now, have you ever worked on a farm? Did you ever cram on the farm? I don't mean just work hard at the end to bring in the harvest. I mean to forget to plant in the spring, to flake off all summer, and then to really hit it hard in the fall to bring in the harvest. Well, of course, that's patently foolish. And we know why. Because a farm is a natural system. It is governed by principles. You see, principles are natural laws. Now, this is pretty obvious when it comes to a farm, but what about the development of our mind? What would you say that is? Is it based upon social values, that which represents common behavior, or would it be based upon natural laws or principles? Is it possible that you can get a degree from school and not get an education? Of course it is. Why? Because the development of the mind is based on principles. The law of the farm, the law of the harvest, not on social values, however popular certain behavior patterns may be. So all aspects of our health, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, are governed by the laws of the harvest, by principles, and not by popular social values. Now, this is an extremely important idea. And this idea lies at the very heart of each of these habits. You can't really fake these habits. You have to pay the price. You can't fake any true growth and development. We're dealing with principles, with realities. You see, in a sense, we are not in control. Often the popular social language is get in control. You are the master of your own destiny, when in fact we are not in control. Principles control. Now, if we accept that and follow these principles, then in that sense we are in control. In that sense, we are the master of our destiny. But that is a humility sense, because it respects that principles ultimately govern, not social values. We control our actions, but the consequences that flow from those actions are controlled by principles. As Abraham Lincoln once put it, people will pass away, but principles never will. Principles live on forever. This is why we believe so much in the Eastern statement, give a man a fish and you feed him for the day. Teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. See, even though you may teach someone a practice, something to do, always try to teach the principle which underlies that practice, that action. Because you see, the situation may change, and the practice may no longer apply, but the principle will remain constant. It will always apply. You see, principles are universal. They are natural laws. They are also self-evident, self-validating. They are changeless. They ultimately govern. Values don't govern. Principles ultimately govern. The key is to align our values, our habits, our behavior with principles. And when they are so aligned, you could almost use the words values and principles interchangeably.
Next, Stephen defines the word paradigm and how changing our paradigm, or the way that we see the world, can result in major improvements in our personal, family, and work life.
Now, I'd like to introduce you to another key word, paradigm. Paradigm is a scientific term. Simply, it means a mental image that you have in your mind of the way things are out there. These are the images we carry in our head of reality. And these images come from our backgrounds, our own experiences. They represent the implicit assumptions of our lives. See, all of us think we see the world as it is, but in reality, we see the world as we are. We project out of our own conditioning experiences our background, a certain representation, a certain model, a certain set of expectations, a certain assumption on what reality is out there. And we think that's the way it is. I might describe myself, I might describe you, I might describe a situation as if I were describing it as it is. In fact, I am describing myself. That is, my perceptions of you and me and situations. It's my frame of reference, my worldview, my value system, my autobiography. In other words, I am describing myself and then projecting it upon the outside. Let me illustrate this from an experience I had in a very large metropolitan city. It was Sunday morning, very quiet and sedate feeling. There was a bunch of young kids ran into the subway, and their father followed. The father sits right next to me, and the kids just go crazy on that subway, running up and down, turning people's papers aside. They're very, very rude, very raucous. I'm sitting there, and inwardly I'm saying, I can't believe this. This father right next to me does nothing. Now notice my attitude. I try to exercise some control over it so that I am not too obviously critical. But look, what can I see? But after a few minutes, my attitude went into my behavior. And I just said to this gentleman, Sir, do you think you could control your children a little? They're very upsetting to people. Oh, yeah. He lifted his head as if he came to an awareness of what was happening. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I should. We just left the hospital, and their mother died just about an hour ago, and I guess they don't know how to take it, and frankly, I don't either. Now imagine the paradigm shift that took place. See, my whole view of reality shifted. As you listen to this story, you probably also experienced this paradigm shift because this new information gets you to see the whole situation differently. We call that shifting a paradigm. You see, attitude and behavior flow from our paradigms, how we see reality. Well, I saw that whole situation differently when I had this new information. And that totally changed my attitude and my behavior. My only desire was to try to help, to better understand, and also to try to serve him in some ways. And I did, in fact, serve him in various ways for a while. But see, the thing that impressed me was the 180-degree shift in the way I saw the whole situation and how that impacted my attitude and my behavior. It just teaches you forcibly that how you see something affects how you feel, that is your attitude, and what you do, that is your behavior. Can you see why paradigms are much deeper than attitude or behavior? Most development programs focus upon attitude and behavior. And both of these, of course, are very important. But far more fundamental than either attitude or behavior is a paradigm. In fact, I believe that the greatest way and the quickest way to change another person's behavior is to change their paradigm. In other words, to change how they see themselves, to change the map that they have of themselves. That is the quickest way to change a person's behavior. You ask, how do you change that? Just change their name, change their role, and you've changed their paradigm. For instance, as soon as you became a father or a mother, did you not see the world differently? I mean, entirely differently? When you changed your name and your role to manager for the first time, did you not see the world differently? You see, that's a new paradigm, a new map. When you became a leader, did you not see the world differently? You see, your role has changed. You see the world differently. The quickest way to change a person's behavior is to change their paradigm. That is, how they define themselves, how they see their role, even perhaps to change their name. Don't work on their behavior. Don't work on their attitude. Just change how they see their role, how they see their responsibility, their stewardship.